All right, fellas, I'm going to talk a little bit about one of the biggest uh, bodybuilding improvements from year to year that has been seen at the Olympia level, and that is Dorian Yates, 1992 to 93. Came back in 93, much bigger than his 92 version. Of course, Dorian's predecessor was the great Lee Haney, certainly one of the greatest bodybuilders ever, and his successor was also, probably in my opinion, the greatest bodybuilder ever, Ronnie Coleman. But in between those two guys was Dorian Yates. Now, Dorian Yates' career ended uh, basically due to injuries. We all know Dorian's rugged training style, high intensity style, led to a lot of injuries. And I think he had a thigh injury. I think he had, obviously, the tricep tear, the bicep tear. Pretty much his last couple wins, the guy's arms were not very good. So, in particular, I believe his left arm. So, a lot of people think he maybe shouldn't have won that last Olympia, and you can make a case for that argument. I mean, but nevertheless, Dorian Yates certainly one of the greatest bodybuilders of all time. Definitely one of the most intense bodybuilders. Now, in '92, Dorian was, I think, about 240 pounds. So you can see this picture right here. This is the previous Dorian Yates on the left. This is how he came in at the difference in 93. So he put on a bunch of size. Let's see if we can find a pic of him, probably from an earlier. This is a great pic. So 92 on the left. You're looking at Dorian Yates, 93 on the right. Probably the same time period in regards to how far out from the Olympia they are, or he is. Dorian's never had like the gigantic bicep peak or the flared out triceps. He's got good arms, big, thick forearms, but he's never really had the premier arms on the stage. He's always been known for his great thickness and conditioning, and of course this incredible back. Now, what did we can speculate, on what he did between 92 and 93. Here he is next to Lou Ferrigno. This gives you a general idea of how big of a man Lou Ferrigno actually is. He's pretty much towering over Dorian Yates here. I think Ferrigno was probably about 300 pounds or so when he competed in Olympia. I can't remember correct. Somebody help me with that. But shows you how big Lou really was. Just towering over Yates. Obviously not the back of Dorian Yates. You got to have a back to win the Olympia. We all know that. Of course, there's another picture of Dorian pre-93 Olympia. Yeah, this is probably one of the most, legendary comparisons in bodybuilding. One of the greatest pics side by side ever taken, probably. And that is Dorian's transition from 92 to 93. Now, what did he do differently? We can speculate, like I said. There's no doubt, these guys were taking growth hormone back then. I can only assume. Obviously, I have no proof of that, and I don't know for sure, but I assume they were. A lot of things available today were available back then, and so I assume he was taking the GH. But I think, and a lot of people speculate, this is kind of when the real hardcore use of insulin was introduced into bodybuilding. Now, again, I don't know that. No one's ever said anything. I've never read any articles about it. I don't think Dorian's admitted to that, but nonetheless, I think this is when bodybuilders really started to, the early 90s, push the envelope with insulin. And you can see the dramatic improvement. Insulin, it just jams your muscles with nutrients, and really is a necessary arsenal in the arsenal of a professional bodybuilder these days. Very dangerous compound, but if you know what you're doing with it, obviously all these guys are using it. So Dorian Yates, you could say, kind of ushered in the era of the mass monster in the Olympia. Of course, Ronnie Coleman certainly even succeeded Dorian in mass. I mean, Ronnie Coleman was just a gigantic Mr. Olympia and probably the greatest bodybuilder in history, in my opinion. But Dorian's right up there. If he wouldn't have gotten injured, who knows? So yeah, Dorian definitely has a cult following, and this is one of the reasons right here is because of that improvement he made between 92 and 93.